Hello, hope you're well. Let's just get right into it. I asked you guys what your favorite Coen Brother movies were, and most of the responses I was not surprised at all. A few of them I was just nodding my head, agreeing with every little thing that you guys said. I'll try to save those for last because the ones that I agree with it will lead in my own opinions about them. Some of them I was a little surprised with, but you really can't go wrong with a Coen Brother movie. That's the whole point of this question. Now, there are a couple of exceptions for me personally. Well, I'll get to that later. I was going to say I'll bring up the exceptions, but I don't want to start off with that. Maybe I'll end with that. I don't think any of you mentioned the exceptions because I think the Coen brothers have definitely, well, I don't know. I think they've only ever made one movie that I found to be unwatchable. Once again, only my opinion. But they do have one movie in their canon that I just think is flat out shit. It's awful. I don't know what they were thinking. I thought it was a ugly, cynical cash grab. And they definitely have a few other movies that I think are barely watchable. But I'll get into that later. So let's just start with the first comment here, which is Solvent. Hello, Solvent. How are you? Big Lebowski, no doubt. Yeah, that's the obvious one, right? And that would be for me, the Coen brother. Well, I'm going to go through your comments first before I give my opinion, my full opinion. But that's the cool thing about Big Lebowski and the Coen brothers in general is that I think from day to day, my favorite Coen brother movie might change. There's a real possibility of that, but there are five or six that are in that rotation, and Big Lebowski is definitely one of them. There have been plenty of times where I thought, as brilliant as the Coen brothers are, and as brilliant as so many of their movies are, and how insane it is that they just keep pumping out high quality product, Big Lebowski could be at the top. And when you consider how insanely, immensely talented these guys are, you have to look at Big Lebowski and really understand what a brilliant piece of art that movie is. So, and Big Lebowski wasn't well received with the critics at the time. It's funny that movie took a while. I saw that movie in the theater. I saw it on a date, as I do many of my movies, and me, me and the woman I was with, I think we were two of maybe four people in the entire audience. You Vancouver people, by the way, I saw that movie at the Cascade Park Theater. It lives right, I live right up the street from it. Yeah, it is a theater that is no longer there. In fact, it's a church. They converted this theater into a church. But anyway, uh, I saw that movie in the theater, and yeah, I think me and the chick I was with were with two other people in the whole theater. And the movie had just started playing. I mean, maybe it was the week after. That's oddly the one memory I have of that movie is just me sitting with my date in an empty theater thinking, what? Like, how is this movie not popular? How are people not coming to see this movie? This was back in 1998, right? That's when that movie came out. They followed Fargo. Big Lebowski followed Fargo, and it predated Oh Brother, which was their next movie. But I remember Fargo at the time was like their biggest hit. So I just thought Big Lebowski is going to be the theaters are going to be packed, but nope. Nobody was there. Nobody was laughing. I swear to God, man. I swear to God that I don't even believe in. Nobody was laughing. It was not even the girl I was with. She didn't get it. I was howling. Like the scene with John Turturro where he bowls and there's this the Spanish version of Hotel California and he does this dance. I was in hysterics and like I mean my laughter was echoing off the walls. Nobody was laughing. Um, I laughed until I cried, and I'll never forget the other thing I don't forget from that experience was the chick I was with. We were leaving, and she was like, "I don't think I get it." I was like, "Okay, well, I can't help you there. I am sorry." But yeah, Big Lebowski took a while. I remember it didn't get reviewed very well. I remember watching Siskel and Ebert review it. They didn't love it. It was one of those movies that people just didn't really get. I don't think people knew what to do with it. They had seen Fargo maybe, and that was such an intense movie, and then they saw Big Lebowski, and I don't think they were able to put two and two together with the Coen brothers. Coen brothers are still, I mean, they weren't new. They'd been around for 15 years at that point. Blood Simple came out in 84. So they were around for 14 years. So it's not like they were new. They had done both comedy and intense movies and combined them both in several instances, like with Raising Arizona. I mean, Raising Arizona is a brilliant movie, but it's pretty intense too, but it's more of a comedy. Miller's Crossing is really funny and very intense. It's the Coen brothers, but yeah, people didn't know what to do with Big Lebowski. It wasn't until it came out on DVD that people started really appreciating it. So anyway, thanks for bringing Big Lebowski up. I could talk all day about Big Lebowski. That was my experience seeing it in the theater. Me and three other people, the three other people just standing there not understanding, and me howling like a hyena, laughing my balls off. Ian, what's up, man? Miller's Crossing. Damn, I love Fargo as well. Right. Miller's Crossing's brilliant, man. Again, there are only a couple movies that I don't think are brilliant from the Coen Brothers, and I'll mention those later. But yeah, Miller's Crossing, man, what a gorgeous movie! I saw that in the theater too. In fact, I've seen every Coen Brother movie in the theater. I think except Blood Simple. I just was too young, and they were unknown then. I don't know if I don't know that it even played here in town. It was a pretty independent movie at the time. I saw Raising Arizona twice in the theater. That's how much I loved it then. I think I was 13, 14 years old, but me and a friend of mine went and saw it twice. And Miller's Crossing, yeah, I saw that in the theater too. Beautiful movie. That's one of those movies where sometimes I think maybe this could be the Coen Brothers' best movie. I don't generally think that. I have moments, but Fargo definitely. Something that blows me away about Fargo too is that I've talked to people who have only seen the TV show. They haven't seen the movie. It's like, how do you fucking watch the TV show and you don't watch the movie? How does that even happen? Get out of here. I mean, you have no intellectual curiosity to see what spawned this TV show you like. You haven't seen the movie. How is that possible? Yeah, Fargo's fucking brilliant. One of those moments in Coen Brother history where there wasn't a wasted second, and they're good at that anyway. Their best movies, there's no fluff at all. And Fargo is just like one of the most brilliant examples of economy in a picture, but also being so enthralling and dramatic and funny and violent and innocent and sweet and to cram that all into like a 95-minute movie, it's crazy. Fargo is a beautiful movie. And Miller's Crossing too. Amazing. Both fantastic movies. Thank you, Ian. Here we go again. Full Hyperion's back. What's up, man? Miller's Crossing, No Country for Old Men. Those hit me a little bit different because they're darker and have different kind of flow than some of their other works. Love the eerie atmosphere, and that just shows how talented they are, able to work in basically any genre and still have their own imprint. As for some lighter movies, definitely Big Lebowski. In my opinion, their funniest film, best cast. And for guilty pleasure one, Burn After Reading, I just love the script and acting in this one. Lots of sarcasm and commentary on modern society as well. No, No Country for Old Men is extraordinary. It is a beautiful fucking movie. But when I think of the best Coen Brother movies, I don't normally think of that one because it's not theirs. Does that make sense? They didn't write it. So when I think of the full Coen Brother experience and my favorites from them, I tend to shift a little bit. There's nothing wrong with No Country. It's amazing. One of the greatest movies of all time. But I hope that makes sense. Like in the Coen Brother pantheon, I think of others as being their best because they write the majority of their movies. They didn't write No Country. But if anyone else had directed No Country, would it be as good? Of course not. Of course not. No Country is fucking brilliant. Again, I want to make that clear. But I wouldn't mention that in their best. For me personally, for reasons I just explained, probably doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it is true. There's no bad time to watch No Country. That movie's so good, so brilliant. But yeah, they didn't write it. Now, I will take umbrage. One of the movies I don't love from them is Burn After Reading. I just have never been able to get into that movie. I've tried. I've watched it maybe two or three times. I saw that one in the theater as well. Didn't work for me. I thought it was one of those movies that they were trying too hard to be slapsticky, but then I didn't think usually they're able to take the funny and the intense and mesh it really well together, like Fargo. But Burn After Reading, it just didn't work. I thought that they were trying to go too hard with the humor, and it just didn't work. And then the intense scenes happen, and there's an imbalance there because the funny isn't working, and then the intensity happens. To me, the intensity just seemed forced. Like when you have comedy that you feel is forced, and then you try to throw in some other element that feels forced too. And that was how I felt about Burn After Reading. That would be way toward the bottom in terms of my favorites. In fact, the only other Coen Brother movies that I like less than Burn After Reading would probably be Intolerable Cruelty and Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar is the movie I was talking about before, y'all. That movie's shit. I'll just say it now. Hail Caesar was a joke. I was pissed after leaving the theater when I saw that. I was embarrassed. I remember thinking, what have the Coen brothers done to their legacy? This movie's awful. It felt like Coen Brothers trying to be Wes Anderson or something. They were trying to get as many big name stars with nothing to do and cram them all into a movie and say, hey, here's Jonah Hill, and hey, there's Scarlett Johansson, and hey, there's that person, and hey, there's this person, and they have nothing to do. It's just a bunch of famous people standing around with their dicks in their hands with nothing to say. It wasn't funny. Hail Caesar was fucking shit. I don't care what any of you say. That movie was garbage. So I'm getting worked up right now. But hey, it doesn't matter because it's the Coen brothers. They get a pass. They will forever get a pass. But Hail Caesar was shit. And I will take up that argument with any of you. Fuck that movie. But Full Hyperial, thank you very much for bringing that up. Yeah, Burn After Reading is way, way toward the bottom for me. That's a movie that I don't have any interest in ever seeing again. Now here's a good list. Matt W.H., whatever that says, Matthew H. No Country, Fargo, Big Lebowski, and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is very underrated. I agree. Buster Scruggs is brilliant. I have friends who love the Coen brothers, and they don't necessarily love Buster Scruggs. I think that's a mistake. Buster Scruggs is brilliant. If I were to list, if I were to rate the Coen brother movies, all of them, Buster Scruggs would be in the top 10 for sure. That movie they did that after Hail Caesar, and it's their last movie they've done together, hoping that they get together soon to make another movie. But I was really surprised in how much I liked Buster Scruggs, how good it is. I think it's brilliantly written. The music's fantastic. I thought the overall message was fantastic. I think it's what the Coen brothers do well. It's humor mixed with intensity. It's something that only they can do. It was beautifully shot. It's just so fun to watch. The performances are all great. Buster Scruggs, I agree, is vastly underrated as a Coen Brother movie. I think it's extraordinary. It is a great, great movie. Um, all of the little tales are so good. I think there's six. They're also expertly woven. I know people have a problem with some of the stories. Like a friend of mine really hated the last one, the one in the carriage with the Grim Reaper, basically. He thought it was unnecessary. I thought it was great. In fact, I thought that one was just perfect. It was a perfect example of what the Coens are so good at. Music and humor and scariness all mixed together. My favorite story of the five, it's tough, but it would probably be that fifth one where the woman she shoots herself thinking that she's about to get ravished and maimed by these Indians. That would probably be my favorite one. I just thought it's the meatiest one. It's the longest one. The characters are more fleshed out. That would, if I had to pick one of my one favorite, it would probably be that one. But God, the Tom Waits one, the Liam Neeson story, Jesus. The first one with Buster Scruggs himself, I mean, brilliant. Brilliant movie. I thank you for bringing that up. I was hoping that somebody would. I think Buster Scruggs is a great movie. All right, here's another one. George Foreman. Only seen 12 of their movies so far. I like how their films are quite different from me. How have you not seen all their stuff? Come on, man. You're commenting on this. You need to see all their movies, dude. A Serious Man and Inside Llewyn Davis are my top two based on my first watch. Choosing a third would be choosing a favorite child, but Big Lebowski, Miller's Crossing, and Barton Fink would be way up there. Absolutely. So glad people brought these up. Well, that's leading. I'm going to save Barton Fink because that's way, 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 way up there for me. Maybe my favorite Coen Brother movie, but I'll talk about that at the end. A couple of you, a couple of your choices were exactly my choices, so that's why I'm going to keep those toward the end. But I'm glad somebody brought up Inside Llewyn Davis. In fact, I think George, you were the only one who did. Brilliant movie. So good. I'm surprised no one else brought that up. I think Llewyn Davis is a fantastic movie. So good. It showcases again the intensity with the humor. You can tell that the Coens are really into Bob Dylan and just music in general. The movie I always thought was almost just a homage to people like Bob Dylan and just folk music. It was the Coen brothers version of A Mighty Wind. You know what I mean? They were Well, they were just capturing this moment in time. They captured the greatness of it, but also the humor of it. I thought it was almost it was almost like a documentary in some ways. Like folk music back then was so innocent and kind of goofy that you didn't really have to exaggerate the humor in it. Like the way they'd all dress up the same and they'd have goofy political lyrics. Cohen's just kind of captured that. Like the humor is already there for you to experience. They didn't have to create it. It's like let's show all these guys in these big, thick, wool woven white sweaters. The humor is right there. You don't even have to write a joke. It's like these three adults all dressed exactly the same, singing these innocent songs about, you know, uh, picking cotton or shucking corn or some shit. I thought Llewyn Davis was a great movie, so thank you for bringing that up. Serious Man, I'm going to get to that later because I agree. I think Serious Man arguably is their most underrated movie, and I will get to that in a while because I do have some shit to say about that. Brilliant, brilliant movie. Oh, I cut off someone's name here. Oh shit. Who is this? Liz, this might be you. I'm sorry. Azillarad. This might be Azillarad. I don't know how I cut your name off. Oops. This has been a crazy week for me, y'all. This has been a really stressful week. Some of my comments here might be a little out of tune here, but No Country for Old Men, brilliant acting across the board. I can talk my ass off about this film. This is why I think it's Liz, because you always edit yourself when you cuss. Liz, you don't need to do that. If you want to just spell ass or fuck or shit or cunt, go ahead, go for it. You don't have to cover it up. Uh, Number two, The Big Lebowski, best comedy ever in my honest opinion. How could anyone not love the dude? Three, Fargo. Four, Raising Arizona. Five, Blood Simple. Yeah, man. I mean, what am I going to do? Argue with this? Again, No Country. I already talked about that. I might not put that in my top five when I'm thinking Coen Brothers movies, but it might be in my top five of just general movies. I mean, what a fucking awesome movie. God, that's a good movie. The rest of these, absolutely. Fargo, Raising Arizona. Yeah, you're definitely an old school Coen Brother fan too, and I like that because Blood Simple and Raising Arizona, man. Ah, mm, brilliant, just amazing. And Barry Sonnenfeld was the cinematographer for those movies, which I don't know. Maybe that's a piece of trivia for some of you, maybe not. But yeah, Sonnenfeld is in that Coen Brothers circle. And the cool thing about Blood Simple and Raising Arizona is the camera work is pretty revolutionary in those two movies. They were still borrowing from from other things in those two movies, but they were still pretty revolutionary. So thank you for bringing those five up. Exhilarate, I think that was you. I'm sorry for cutting your name out of there. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just kind of zoned out here. Old Miss Mary, Big Lebowski. Okay. Anytime I want to realize, Big Lebowski obviously was the most mentioned one, and I get it. Anytime I want to relax and escape, I put it on. It's that sense. In that sense, it's number one. Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah, it's like the ultimate comfort food. I get that. It's the same for me. I have a handful of movies that are my go-tos, and Big Lebowski's up there for sure. Number two is True Grit. That's interesting. Nothing super groundbreaking about it, but it's a super quality film. Haley Steinfeld holds her own in the leading role so well too, even though she co-stars with Bridges and Damon's titans of the film industry. Carter Burwell's score is also super listenable on its own too. I agree about Haley Steinfeld. I remember Steinfeld, however you say it. I remember that too, watching that movie and then looking her up afterwards, having never heard of her, and thinking, "Wow, what a super talent this girl is." Because you're right, she manages to overshadow Bridges and Damon, which is saying something, especially Bridges. And Matt Damon's great in that movie too. Who's the Barry Pepper? He's amazing. But you're right. That's Steinfeld's movie. Steinfeld. Sorry, God. Steinfeld's movie. You're spelling it Steinfeld. I thought it was Steinfeld, but what do I know? Yeah, what happened to her? Is she still around? It seems like she found her one movie and then crushed it and then went away. But maybe she's making movies. I have no clue. But yeah, True Grit would not would not be in my favorite for sure. Yeah, that's a remake, right? And I just wouldn't put it in. It definitely is not one of my favorites, but it's one of yours, and I'm glad you brought it up because not many people brought that up. In fact, I don't think anybody brought it up. You were the only one. True Grit is super fun, man. That is a great movie, no question about it. When the Coens make westerns, it's just something very special. Anything. Someone else earlier mentioned they can do any genre and put their signature on it, and it's totally unique. I couldn't agree more. Some of their best movies are Western movies, country and Western. Here's someone who brings up The Man Who Wasn't There. I was wondering if someone would bring this up. I love that movie. I understand that that's a movie that's it divides people, but I think The Man Who Wasn't There is a great movie. Really funny. I think Billy Bob crushed it. To this day, it's the only movie that the Coens have ever done a commentary track on. You'll notice they don't do commentary tracks on their movies, but they did here. I don't know why. Billy Bob was with them, and it's a fantastic commentary. I wish they'd do more because they're obviously really funny guys. And yeah, I think buying the physical, this is an endorsement for physical media. If you don't think physical media is worth it, The Man Who Wasn't There is an argument to that. I would highly recommend you pick up the Blu-ray and hopefully it comes out on 4K someday because that's a movie begging for some 4K action, I think. But that is a great movie. Fantastic film. Man Who Wasn't There. Early Scarlett Johansson movie. She's amazing in it. She doesn't have much to do, but what she does do is done really well. James Gandolfini's in it. He's fantastic. But this is Billy Bob Thornton, man. This is one of his best movies, one of his best performances, and it's a great fucking movie. Can't recommend that movie enough if you haven't seen it. I can't imagine any Coen Brother fan hasn't seen it. But somebody else mentioned before they haven't seen all their movies, so I guess it's possible. Mizanola, what's up, dude? This is probably the most common take, but I'd have to go with Fargo, Raising Arizona, No Country, and Big Lebowski. Pretty much the only movie there that I didn't like was The Man Who Wasn't There. That's why I put this comment right after the last one, because someone else loves The Man Who Wasn't There. And I do too. But yeah, as you can see, Mizanola, your take is pretty common. By the way, guys, it's Big Lebowski with an I. Not a big deal, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's hard to argue with any of those choices. Those are just some great stuff. No Country, Fargo, Big Lebowski, True Grit. Someone did mention True Grit, so I thought only one person did, but there's more love for No Country, Fargo, Lebowski. Let's go to the next one. Blood, another one for Razmix. What's up, man? Blood Simple, Fargo, No Country. Excuse me. Are probably my top three. With Barton Fink, yes, indeed. Raising Arizona, Serious Man, and the Big Lebowski. No one knows how to spell Lebowski. It cracks me up. But Big Lebowski and the honorable mentions category. There you go. You mentioned Barton Fink. A few people did. I'll get to that. I will get to Barton Fink. You better believe I will. Johnny Yeshna, what's up, dude? Yeah, Big Lebowski, Blood Simple, Barton Fink, Raising Arizona, No Country. But honestly, there isn't a film they have done I didn't enjoy on some level. Intolerable Cruelty wasn't bad as a rom-com, and I hate those. Hudsucker is underrated too. I'm glad you brought up Hudsucker. That is a movie that I just have not been able to connect with. I don't dislike it, but I've had problems enjoying that movie. I feel like it's just trying too hard. Does that make any sense? They're trying so hard to kind of go back to that 40s, 50s style acting, and like Jennifer Jason Leigh in that movie, for example, is a little too much for me to take. She's just doing what the Coen brothers are telling her to do, but her character's a little much. The whole movie is a little much. I felt like it's one of those instances where they were trying really hard to be kind of harken back to the old Hollywood. And I get it. I get what they're trying to do. I didn't think Tim Robbins was right for his part. I didn't think there was enough Paul Newman. I didn't think there was enough Bruce Campbell. That would have been cool. I thought there was too much Jennifer Jason Leigh. I just thought that there was imbalances everywhere with that movie. I've never been able to really love that movie. And I do appreciate it. It has flashes of brilliance, but not my favorite. But thank you for bringing up Hudsucker, because yeah, that's a movie I have a complicated relationship with that one. Here's one. I'm glad someone brought this up. Solvent Effigy. Since no one else has brought up the Soggy Bottom Boys, I'll mention Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Otherwise, Big Bowski takes the cake. No one fucks with a Jesus. Yep, that's right. Oh Brother. Yeah, I saw that in the theater. I remember when I first saw it, I didn't love it. It was I didn't know what to make of it. I knew what they were doing, the whole Homer Odyssey angle, the mysticism that's happening in the movie. I really liked the music. I did think it was funny, but I didn't quite get it at first. After repeated viewings, I loved it. I thought George Clooney initially was over the top, but the more I watched it, the more I got it. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. And Oh Brother's a great movie. Love it now. It just took me a while. It took me a while. Some of the funniest dialogue ever, too, in a Coen Brother movie. Um, we're in a tight spot. We're in a tight spot. Um, you miserable hole-eating son of a bitch. John Turturro is the best part of that movie, I think. Just like most movies he's in. John Turturro just always steals everything he's in. You can tell he just revels in those weird characters. Jesus and Barton Fink and Hog, Wallop, you know. Um, he's in his happy place when he's playing these weird, seedy, fucked up characters. Oh Brother's a great movie, man. In fact, talking about it right now makes me want to go watch it. Maybe I'll do that tonight. I love that movie. Mean Sheets, what's up, dude? Barton Fink, No Country, Big Lebowski, Fargo, and least favorite, Hail Caesar. Yeah, I already talked about Hail Caesar. Couldn't agree more. That movie's shit. It's the only Coen Brother movie that I just flat out am angry with. I don't know what they were thinking. I definitely thought they had lost it, but then they did Buster Scruggs after that, so I was like, okay, they haven't lost it. Of course, they haven't been around ever since that movie, but let's hope they come together. Now, I think this is the last comment. I saved this one for last because I couldn't, I don't know that I could put it any better. Um, Maturin, thanks a lot, man. I don't recognize your name. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you very much for your comment. I was reading this comment, I just kind of laughed because Maturin basically just came up with exactly what I was going to say. But for me, Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, Barton Fink, Fargo, Big Lebowski are the top five. Easily can make another list of five that are masterpieces or very close. An embarrassment of artistically successful films compared to most filmmakers. Most underrated, A Serious Man. Matron, I have nothing to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is exactly what I was going to say. Um, Barton Fink. Let me bring up Barton Fink. Most days, my favorite movie is from the Coen Brothers is Barton Fink. I sometimes I have a hard time trying to explain or even think to myself as to why that is, but I think it's because I've always been a writer, even since I was a kid. I've always had people telling me I'm a good writer, even when I was in my single digits, 8, 9 years old. I've always been a writer. I've always been writing things down. And I've always had this internal conflict in my brain about that life of the mind that Barton Fink talks about. And Barton Fink is so good about beating down those pretentious walls being a writer that it just speaks to me. I don't know. I don't know if other writers feel this way when they watch Barton Fink, but Barton Fink is the ultimate movie about being human to me. It's about how people, it's in the human nature to be so self-obsessed and self-absorbed and stress about all this peripheral infinitesimal shit that doesn't make any difference in the grand scheme of anything. And everything you need in life is right within your reach. Everything that can make you happy is right there in a picture on the wall, say, with Barton Fink, or in a box where you don't know what's in the box. It could be your worst nightmare. It could be exactly what you want in life. But everything is right there in front of you, but we're so busy fretting away here on the surface of life about all the stupid shit, things that don't matter. Or in terms of being a writer, you're sitting there thinking about how can I speak to the people when the people don't really give a shit about what you have to say. It's all exposable. It's all expendable. And it's all bullshit. And Barton Fink, I would argue, better than any movie in history exposes all that. I think a lot of what Barton Fink is the Coen brothers sort of making fun of themselves. Because I think it's pretty well known and common knowledge that they wrote Barton Fink because they had writer's block writing Miller's Crossing. I think the Coen brothers took a step back and realized that, and then they wrote Barton Fink, which is basically about pretentious writers thinking about what they're doing is so fucking important when it's not. And Barton Fink is one of the most brilliant movies I've ever seen. So most days, if I had to choose one movie, it would be Barton Fink. That is my favorite Coen brother movie. And it's interesting too, the Coens have said that they will never do a sequel to any of their movies except Barton Fink. That's the one movie in their canon that they want to maybe make a sequel to. And I love this idea. People have been asking them to do a sequel to Big Lebowski, of course. They just flatly reject that idea. They're never going to do it, but they are open to doing Barton Fink. So I think they said they wanted to name it Old Fink or something. I hope they do, because I think there's a part of me that says don't touch the sacred, just let it go. But if the Coens do it, it'll be fine. If someone else did it, then I wouldn't even bother watching it. It's got to be the Coen brothers that do it. It has to be. Um, Barton Fink is a brilliant movie, absolutely, and arguably my favorite. Now, Matron, you bring up Serious Man. Thank you for doing that. I do think Serious Man is their most underrated. In fact, some days I might slip that into their top five. I think Serious Man is absolutely extraordinary. I think people need to sit back and watch that movie again. I think it's a beautiful piece of work. I think it's such a complicated movie. Everything about it's in plain sight, but you have to watch this movie multiple times to really let it sink in and really kind of understand what the Coens are saying and trying to do. People try to dissect that opening part with the Dybbuk in the old snowy hut. Um, I think that intro is explained throughout the movie, but you just have to watch it. You have to keep watching the movie. You have to dig into exactly what the movie is saying. And it's more than any other movie. It's somewhat autobiographical for the Coen brothers. So you can tell that they have a lot of passion for this project in this film. It's so fucking funny and intense and all those things they balance so well. Michael Stahlbarg does a brilliant job in the main role. God, I love this movie. I watch this movie probably a couple of times a year. I always welcome seeing it more and more because it's a complicated film. The more I see it, the more I start to understand what I think the Coens were doing. Um, and it's complicated because I think you could take that movie. That's one of their few movies where it could be interpreted in any number of ways. And God, I love that when it comes to movies. Like, I hesitate to even talk about what I think the movie's about because it just gives something away. Maybe it leads someone down a different path. I think it is whatever you want it to be. You know what I mean? But, um, I think that, I think that opening scene it's basically setting up this idea that nothing's ever explained. Um, it's setting up the fact that uh, Larry Gopnik, he might be cursed. He might be related to this old Jewish couple in the hut, and the Dybbuk has cursed him going through life. Um, the story of the goy with the teeth, the Jewish inscriptions on the Yiddish in his teeth, which by the way is fucking hilarious. That whole scene so funny where the rabbi is telling him about the dentist is his wife is fast asleep with her mouth agape and he's hovering over her with a mirror looking into her mouth. It's just the whole movie is so funny, but I think ultimately that's what Serious Man is about. It's that whole opening scene is about. It's about not understanding anything. You're not meant to understand anything because we're all cursed. I mean, that tornado at the end is a direct descendant of what's going on in the first scene. Like, here comes the Dybbuk. I mean, this is him. He's coming after all of you. Um, but it's the unexplained. Like the whole movie, Larry's trying to figure out, like, I've done everything the way I'm supposed to do it. This is, I'm a serious man. This is how what else can I do? It doesn't matter. You're still going to be in a box in 5 minutes. You can fret all you want about these stupid things on the surface of life, but it doesn't make any difference. You're still going to be dead in 5 minutes. You're going to be under the earth. You're going to be cremated in 5 seconds, and you don't know it. Anything could take your life at any moment. So, um, like the rabbi says it himself, like he's explaining that the goy's teeth story, and um, at the end, he just kind of he doesn't really explain how it ends, and Larry's like, "Well, how does it end?" He goes, "How does it end?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, like what's the ending of the story?" And he's like, "Does it matter? Does it matter if we know?" And he's like, "It sounds like you don't know anything." And well, that's the point. He's like, "Well, do good unto others. Doing good can't hurt." That's all he's got to offer. And really, there's infinite wisdom in that statement. And then it ends with the best joke. He's like, Larry says, what does he say? What happened to the goy? And the rabbi's like, what happened to the goy? Who cares? I don't know. Just fucking brilliantly funny. The more I watch that movie, I love it. Like Serious Man, I think of the top five movies, and here's their list of movies, and Serious Man was up here, but the more the years go by, Serious Man gets closer to the very top five movies of theirs. It's like it was here at maybe number 10, then it was number 9, then number 8, and now it's getting closer to number 5. It's their one movie in their canon that just keeps growing on me more than any of their other movies. So talked a lot about Serious Man. Maturin, thank you very much for bringing it up. But I agree. Serious Man is their most underrated movie. It's a brilliant movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you have seen it, go watch it again. If it wasn't in your top five, I think it should be. And there's my Coen Brother movie video. Thank you very much for commenting. And until my next movie video, I will talk to you later. Goodbye.